The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. attends series of business meetings today during his working visit in Japan, emphasizes the importance of Japanese government aid in Philippine peace process.
The 83-man team sent by the Philippines to help in the search and rescue operations has arrived in the earthquake-battered Turkey.
Several senators are not keen on the idea to amend several provisions of the 1987 Constitution that deal with the country's economy.
And the Hague International Investigation says Russian President Vladimir Putin personally green-lighted the supply of missile responsible for the crash of Malaysia Airlines MH17 near the village of Grabovo, Ukraine.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, the 9th of February 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harding Delgado.
First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has attended a series of business meetings today, February 9, during his working visit in Japan. Also, the chief executive paid a courtesy call to the Japanese parliament and a meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Nel Maribohok will give us the details live. Yes, Nel, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Will. Japanese shipping companies assured President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. that they will hire Filipino seafarers to man their vessels. During the meeting with President Marcos, the shipping firms thanked the Philippine government for supporting initiatives to improve the skills and expertise of the country's sea-based laborers. The Japanese Shipowners Association, or JSA, sought the President's help and assurance for the steady supply of seafarers. For his part, PBBM assured to the Japanese companies that his administration will continue to work closely with them to ensure a ready pool of highly skilled Filipino seafarers required by Japanese maritime companies. Meanwhile, PBBM thanked the government of Japan for its unwavering support to the Philippine peace process and development assistance. During his courtesy visit on the members of the Japanese parliament, PBBM cited the Japanese government's Japan Bangsamoro Initiatives for Reconstruction and Development, or JBIRD program, which involves long-term support for governance, decommissioning, and socio-economic development. Based on government figures from 2002 to 2019, Japan's official development assistance, or ODA, for Mindanao's peace and development has reached 51 billion Japanese yen. Also this afternoon, the Philippines chief executive has given a welcome ceremony led by Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. After this, the two leaders witnessed the documents exchange ceremony of the 7 signed bilateral agreements. According to PM Kishida and PBBM, the two countries will seek closer security ties.
We will also look into ways to promote our defense equipment and technology cooperation and to strengthen cooperation amongst Japan, the United States, and the Philippines. During our working dinner after this, recognizing the severe and complex international situations, we plan to have an in-depth exchange of views on regional and international situations, including our collaboration towards realizing a free and open Indo-Pacific.
Finally, the Prime Minister and I have agreed to cooperate even more closely in areas of economic cooperation, security and defense cooperation, maritime security and safety, healthcare mechanisms, environmental commitments, and people-to-people exchanges. Furthermore, there are cultural cooperation, regional peace initiatives, and nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament, amongst others.
7 agreements cover various areas of mutual cooperation, including humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, infrastructure, agriculture, and digital cooperation. And that is our update live here in Tokyo, Japan. Back to you, Will.
Yes, thank you, Nel Maribohok, reporting live from Japan.
The Philippine Embassy in Turkey has begun its initial mission to the provinces affected by the magnitude 7.8 earthquake. In a statement, the embassy said Philippine Ambassador to Turkey, Maria Elena Algabre, led the embassy team to meet with the affected Filipinos in southeast Turkey, including the cities of Adana and Iskenderun, which is one of the most devastated areas in Hatay province. It also reported that 2 Filipinos were injured but are now recovered. 4 Filipinos were also evacuated from Adana to the city of Mersin, which the embassy said is safer. The embassy vows to continue extending aid to 248 Filipinos in the affected provinces and hope to account for as many Filipinos as possible. For those who have information on Filipinos who are affected by the earthquake, contact the Philippine Embassy on Ankara through their number and official accounts flashed on your screens.
The 83-man team sent by the Philippines to help in the search and rescue operations has arrived in the earthquake-battered Turkey. Office of the Civil Defense Joint Information Center head Diego Agustin Mariano said at 12:08 this afternoon when the Turkish airline landed in Istanbul. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
To help in the search and rescue efforts to locate the victims of magnitude 7.8 earthquake has arrived in Turkey. Office of the Civil Defense Joint Information Center head Diego Agustin Mariano said the Turkish airline plane bearing the team has landed in Istanbul 12:08 p.m. today, February 9.
Doon sila inimit ng Turkish government at Philippine embassy officials. Then doon nga malalaman yung assignment nila kung saan sila mag-ooperate or mag-respond.
The Philippine contingent will help in the search and rescue operations for 2 weeks or 14 days but ready to be extended if necessary.
As of now, prepared po sila na mag-extend sila na 1 month dahil ang OCD ang unang nag-step ng 14 days din na si Secretary Galvez na nagsabi na pwedeng na-extend ng 1 month just in case na kailangan pa yung tulong nila doon.
Meanwhile, OCD also confirmed that the Philippine National Police also expressed their readiness to send their troops to Turkey.
Opo, nakipag-coordinate na po ang Philippine National Police dito po sa tanggapan po natin na gusto na nagbigay sila ng intent na ma-deploy din po doon. Pero titingnan pa natin kung bubuo pa po tayo ng pangalawang batch or pangalawang team para dito po sa Turkey.
SAF Director, Police Major General Edgar Alan Okubo said they are preparing for a 16-man team to be sent to the quake-hit country.
Many times the SAF is ready. We're just waiting on the call time ng deployment.
Major General Okubo added their personnel are also trained for collapsed building search and rescue and their equipment are ready and well accounted.
Meron silang mga equipment na dadalhin, most particularly yung life locator, sound detectors, yung self-contained breathing apparatus, meron din kaming hydraulic tools, yung door jump spreader, portable jackhammer, meron din kaming portable acetylene, tapos yung heavy-duty rotary hammer drill, and likewise yung personal protective gears ng mga tropa namin.
Earlier, PNP spokesperson Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said the PNP can also send doctors and nurses to Turkey. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Bureau of Immigration, or BI, disclosed that some of their ward facility personnel may face suspension and cases in the future. Dante Amento tells us why.
Bureau of Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinco disclosed they relieved 36 employees assigned at their detention facility in Bicutan, Taguig City. They were asked to explain about possible violations of existing rules and regulations. This was after information surfaced that some Japanese detainees were allegedly allowed to use gadgets such as cell phones and tablets inside the detention facility, particularly the 4 Japanese fugitives including Yuki Watanabe and Tomonobu Saito, who were deported on Tuesday and yesterday.
Primarily on the communication gadgets, the cell phones, the tablets, the laptops that were found inside the detention facilities that were allowed by the personnel without the approval of the commissioner.
Tansinko added they are also conducting their investigation over the issue. The results of the probe will be forwarded to the Department of Justice or DOJ for possible filing of cases against erring BI employees.
So much so that if we will found probable or prima facie evidence, they will be formally charged. And upon formal charge, the suspension will follow.
Meanwhile, the DOJ said there will be some changes to be implemented in the Bureau. These include the inventory of cases of the foreign individuals to find out what hinders for them to be deported.
Well, the Secretary mentioned yesterday and again today that we will be doing an inventory with the help of Commissioner Tansinko. This inventory is supposed to siguro sweep, no, and do an inventory of all the cases filed against these deportees so that we can evaluate whether these cases are filed for the purpose of hindering or preventing their deportation.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Philippine government, through the Office of the Solicitor General, has sent a notice of appeal before the Appeals Chamber of the International Criminal Court, or ICC. The government will file an opposition on the recent decision of the ICC pre-trial chamber to resume the investigation on the previous administration's war on drugs. The Philippines will also ask to reverse the ICC pre-trial chamber's decision and suspend its implementation pending resolution of the appeal. Solicitor General Menardo Guevara said they will file the formal appeal before this month ends.
Manufacturers will appeal to the Department of Trade and Industry on the approved increase on the suggested retail price of sardines. The group also noted that there is already a shortage in sardine supply. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, approved 1 peso and 50 centavo increase on the suggested retail price, or SRP, for sardines. This is just half of the petition filed by the Canned Sardines Association of the Philippines, or SAF, last year.
For now, ganito lang talaga muna ang pwede nating ibigay. So nakikiusap tayo sa kanila na sana intindihin na rin muna at pagpasensyahan na at least meron tayong naibigay na 150 pesos para kahit papano maka-recover tayo.
According to CSAP Executive Director Francisco Bencamino, this is not enough and they will appeal for more increase in order to cover their costs. The group already sees a shortage in the supply of sardines. Bencamino said that they have no supply of fish since the implementation of 3-month closed fishing season in Zamboanga Peninsula, November of last year. They also have options to sell their product to wet markets and sari-sari stores instead of selling it to supermarkets. DTI encouraged the group to continue supplying sardines to supermarkets.
Sa manufacturers naman, ituloy lang nila yung pagbebenta nila sa supermarket dahil dito yung bastante yung compliance nila sa suggested retail price. Pag binili yan sa tindahan, sa sari-sari store or sa convenience store, mas mahal na. So hindi yan na bibilihin ng consumer.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for news abroad, Uganda has decided to shut down the United Nations office in their country, prompting many activists to criticize the government for the shameful decision. Nerissa Dando will tell us why live. Yes, Nerissa?
Good evening, Harleen. According to a letter by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the host country agreement, which was mandated back in 2020, is set to expire August of this year. However, there will not be any renewal made by Uganda. With the office in the country shut down, the letter states that the government will pursue its cooperation with the OHCHR headquarters through their permanent mission in Geneva. A human rights lawyer and activist, Dr. Adrian Juco, criticized the government's actions, saying in a tweet that they have lost all sense of shame and does not want any close international scrutiny. The government is also facing scrutiny from the timing of the decision, as it has only been months after the United Nations wrapped up observations of the countries looking into the nation's current practice of torture and mistreatment. Meanwhile, with the permanent current removal of the United Nations office in Uganda, many are fearing that torture and other malpractices will continue. Many are hoping the government will reverse their decision. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, reporting live from Japan. Meanwhile, the Hague International Investigation said Wednesday Russian President Vladimir Putin had likely agreed to supply missile that had shot down Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. Ani Mancilia will tell us why.
That Russian President Vladimir Putin personally green-lighted a supply of missile responsible for the crash of Malaysia Airlines MH17 near the village of Bravovo, Ukraine. Dutch prosecutor Digna van Boyseler said, adding that this kind of decision was only made at presidential level. The joint investigation team referenced a Dutch court which ruled last year that Russia had overall control over the Donetsk People's Republic in Ukraine in 2014, when the crash occurred. There was also a recorded telephone conversation where Russian officials said the decision to provide military support rests with the president. Despite the fact it was not known whether the request explicitly mentions the missile will be used to shoot down MH17. Furthermore, there was no suggestion that the Russian president ordered the aircraft be shot down and consequently had killed nearly 300 people. The probe team is halting the investigation as conclusive evidence is not reached. Prosecutor Boyseler also added that Mr. Putin has immunity as head of state. Meanwhile, Dutch Minister Mark Rutte was disappointed over the decision, but he said that they will continue to call Russia to account. Ani Mancilia, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
We'll share more global stories with you later. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Another move to tinker with the Constitution has been made in the Senate. However, some lawmakers are not supportive of the measure. This report will tell us why. Several senators are not keen on the idea to amend several provisions of the 1987 Constitution that deal with the country's economy. This comes after Senator Robin Padilla filed a resolution of both houses number 3 seeking to amend the economic provisions of the Charter via Constituent Assembly or CONAS, where the House and the Senate will vote separately. The neophyte lawmaker maintains the Constitution must be amended to remove the restrictive economic provisions, which he says are responsible for the continuous decline of foreign investments in the country. Padilla led the proceedings on the proposals to amend the charter, being the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments and Revision of Codes. But for Senator Grace Poe, the concern in the economic provisions of the Constitution has been addressed by several laws. These include the Public Services Act, which he sponsored in the upper chamber, Retail Trade Liberalization Act, and the Foreign Investments Act.
Kaya nga siguro sa pag-iikot ng ating Pangulo sa ibang bansa ay pwede niyang sabihin, alam niyo, pwede na kayong magmay-ari ng telecommunications, pwede na kayong magmay-ari ng tollways at kung ano-ano pa, pati na rin sa mga airlines. So ngayon, gusto kong malaman, ano talaga ba ang intensyon? Bakit nila gustong kalikutin ang ating konstitusyon na ngayon napakaraming bagay ang kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin? Mga bagay na nakakaapekto sa buhay ng ating mga kababayan na maraming naghihirap sa taas ng presyo ng bilihin. Ano ba talagang importante?
While he agrees that there were changes needed in the charter, Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel says this can wait. The minority senator emphasizes the need to address first pressing issues that the country is facing today, including high prices of basic commodities, unemployment, and corruption. Pimentel also questions the push to change the Constitution's economic provisions when what needs to be changed, he says, are the political provisions. Senator Nancy Binay also agrees that amending the Constitution should not be the priority, but the solutions to the immediate problems of Filipinos. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, vows to help first-time helpers affected by the partial deployment ban to Kuwait. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, announced that the agency is now cutting off the release of Overseas Employment Certificate, or an exit pass, as it imposes temporary ban on deployment of first-time domestic helpers to Kuwait. Due to this, some overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, expressed dismay over the sudden implementation of the partial ban to Kuwait.
Disappointed po kasi naban yung Kuwait at matagal na kami naghintay dito para mag-process. Maraming sinayang na oras.
Bilang first timer po, disappointed po kami sa nangyari na pagban sa papuntang Kuwait kasi po ang ilang buwan po kami ditong naghihintay para lang po makaalis. Ang gusto po namin makapunta ng Kuwait na magpagpatrabaho para po sa pamilya namin. Kahit marami na pong nangyari doon, porsigido po rin kami pumunta doon para po sa aming pamilya.
Over 47,000 OFWs may be affected by the partial ban on deployment of first-time domestic helpers to Kuwait, according to the DMW. Meanwhile, the agency vows to help first-time household workers affected by the temporary ban and will give an alternative labor market destination such as Singapore and Hong Kong.
Ito ay ating sinasagawa sa ngayon hanggang sila nga ay hanggang magkaroon tayo na pagkipag-usap sa Kuwaiti side at may ganap na proteksyon tayong makakamtan para sa mga OFWs natin doon.
Janice Inhente, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, welcomed the offer from more than 80 Japanese employers to hire more Filipino skilled workers. In a statement, DMW Secretary Susan Dutz Ople, who is currently in Japan as part of the official delegation of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., said that Japanese employers prefer Filipino workers in their companies because of their excellent work ethics and friendly disposition. Because of the positive feedback and in response to the request of Japanese employers for more skilled workers, Ople said that a Japan desk will be established in the office of the Secretary to fast-track the needs of both Japanese employers and Filipino trainees. Ople added that the said step is part of building stronger relationship with the Japanese employers and Japanese government so that the Philippines will become Japan's main source of skilled workers.
In other news, North Luzon Expressway Corporation projects that up to 25,000 vehicles may be reduced in the major thoroughfares of Metro Manila once the NLEX SLX connector project opened for the public early this year. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The 23 billion peso NLEX SLX connector project is already at 96% completion for its Section 1, which stretches from C3 in Caloocan up to España in Manila, while it was already at 33% for its Section 2, which stretches from España up to the Polytechnic University of the Philippines in Santa Mesa, Manila. It aims to connect the two major expressways in Luzon, which is the North Luzon Expressway or NLEX and the South Luzon Expressway or SLEX, to reduce travel time of motorists. The NLEX Corporation said they aim to open the portion of the connector project by the first quarter this year, while its completion will be on the month of May.
Ang target natin matapos hanggang May this year. So, ayun, magtatama din yung schedule na yun.
NLEX Corporation projects that 25,000 of vehicles in Metro Manila, especially in EDSA, will be reduced once the project has been opened for the public. Senate Committee on Public Services Chairperson Senator Grace Poe said one of its main benefits is to give heavy trucks 24/7 access to the road and to divert them from track ban. They will also have easier access on the ports in Manila.
Importante ito dahil yung ating mga delivery ng mga kailangan natin na goods na mga nasa truck, hindi na kailangan dun sa mga maliliit na kalsada sa baba. Nandito na sila sa mga highway.
The NLEX Corporation said motorcycle which are 400cc units above may enter the expressway. The corporation estimates that 85 pesos toll fee will be collected depending on the type of vehicle from Caloocan up to Manila. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A labor group calls for a 100 peso wage hike across the board. This is while the country faces high inflation that has been increasing in the past several months. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why.
88 pesos has been eroded from the 570 peso minimum wage in Metro Manila. This is a result of the continuous rise in prices of both goods and services. The Partido Manggagawa explains this as the labor group calls for a 100 peso increase in salaries.
Kung kaya't sa aming kwenta, nawawalan ng 88 pesos ang purchasing power ng minimum wage sa NCR na 570. So, kung kukwentahin yung real minimum wage sa Metro Manila, bunga ng inflation na 8.7% ay 482 na lang yan.
Since everyone has suffered from wage erosion, the group reiterated their call for the wage increase. But Partidong Manggagawa emphasizes that this should be for all workers and not just those at the minimum salary level.
Kung kaya't kami nanawagan sa Kongreso na magsabat sa sana ng isang across-the-board wage increase na 100. Nang sa ganon, makarecover man lang ang sweldo ng mga manggagawa at makaagapay sila sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin at serbisyo sa ngayon.
Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma, on the other hand, assures the public that they will continue to closely monitor developments with the pending petition and that the process is ongoing. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Walt Disney Company will eliminate 7,000 jobs and will divide the company into 3 core businesses as they undergo reconstructuring plans. Monica Canlas tells us why.
The Walt Disney Company is aiming at cost savings of $5.5 billion. $2.5 billion will come from non-content, and the $3 billion will come from content cuts, excluding sports, affecting roughly 3% of its 220,000 workers worldwide. The move coincides with a restructuring that will divide Disney into 3 core businesses: Disney Entertainment, ESPN, and Disney Parks. The restructuring will streamline and cost-effectively organize the company's operations. The move was a difficult decision, according to the Chief Executive Officer, Robert Iger. Disney Plus' streaming service dropped 2.4 million subscribers for the first time since its launch in 2019. Mr. Iger, who stepped down in 2020 as the CEO and chairman for 15 years, returned to the Walt Disney Company as CEO in November 2022 and is working on to put the Disney streaming business on a path to profitability and growth. Monica Canlas, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Giona Pravado, live from London, United Kingdom. Good evening.
The Bureau of Immigration, or BI, announces on Thursday, February 9, their plans of working with the Department of Justice, or DOJ, to expedite cases faced by erring foreigners before Philippine courts. Immigration Commissioner Norman Tansinco mentioned that they need concrete actions to further decongest their holding facility inside Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig City that is currently housing more than 300 deportees. The decision came after the deportation of 4 Japanese fugitives involved in the Luffy case in Japan that has been dismissed by Pasay City Regional Trial Court. The 4 Japanese fugitives have been sent back to Tokyo on board a Japan Airlines flight for being undesirable aliens due to their criminal status. Tansinco thanked the Japanese government for cooperating to expedite the deportation of the said suspects. The deported Japanese nationals have been effectively barred from returning to the Philippines after being included in the BI's blacklist.
In a recent report, numbers of sea lions and wild birds in Peru died due to H5N1 bird flu virus. According to the Department of Health, or DOH, the agency has been preparing to protect the country from diseases like H5N1 bird flu virus. In line with this, Interagency Committee on Environmental Health in the country has already convened. The committee has been tasked to monitor diseases acquired from animals to humans. According to Health Officer in Charge, Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere, the Interagency Committee on Environmental Health will focus on strengthening the surveillance against these diseases.
Yes, we had always been preparing for this since last year. Kailangan strengthen ng surveillance. So sa ngayon naman, we have this close coordination with the Department of Agriculture para mabantayan natin itong mga ganitong klaseng sakit.
Meanwhile, a huge fire has engulfed the Araneta City bus terminal in Cubao, Quezon City. According to the Bureau of Fire Protection, or BFP, the fire broke out in Araneta City, Times Square Street in Barangay Socorro at around 4:45 p.m. this afternoon. The BFP raised its alarm to Task Force Bravo at 5:08 p.m. but has yet to stop the fire. According to the Quezon City Fire Chief, until there are traces of fire, they will not declare fire out. A 27-year-old male was reportedly injured, complaining of a back pain after a fall. The building destroyed by fire used to be a provincial bus terminal built in Cubao in 1974. The BFP has yet to confirm the cause of the blaze. Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time, through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 1 Peter, chapter 3, verse 17, it says, "For it is better, if the will of God be so, that ye suffer for well-doing, than for evil-doing." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 9, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.